Welcome to Women in Power Active, an initiative started by UR Sportswear to empower women to find their own active adventure. I'm your host, Jacalyn Gross. Today, we are interviewing the woman who inspired me to become active, my mom, Elizabeth Gross, who has her PhD. She was a collegiate swimmer, she's a runner, she does yoga, she started climbing, and she's just an inspiring person to me. To all of you out there who are also mothers or mother figures, happy Mother's Day. I hope you enjoy this episode. So, what is your job right now?
I work at Sam Houston State University in the College of Education, and I teach teachers to be school librarians. So they're getting a master's in library science. So it's an advanced program. I have a master's degree and a PhD from Wayne State. My master's is in library and information science, and my PhD is in learning design and technology.
The reason why I am active is because of you. And so I think that would be really good for kind of the full circle, talk about how you started being active, kind of what inspired you to start different sports growing up.
It actually starts back with my mom, because when I was growing up, I never knew that my mom was deathly afraid of the water. She did not she would go into the lake or whatever, but she would never really swim. And so she got us into swimming when we were really young. I mean, maybe 4 years old, we were taking lessons. And I remember being at this old swimming pool that was part of my local school, and paddling around. And I can't have been much more than like 5 or 6 years old. And so then my older brother started swimming, and he was pretty good at it. And so the rest of us kind of followed suit. And so back then it was AAU swimming. Now I think it's US swimming, but back in the day it was AAU. So we swam AAU from the time I was probably 9, 10 until I got into, through high school, actually. When I was first coming up, Title IX hadn't even been passed yet. So I was swimming on the boys swim team in junior high because the girls swim team was kind of like a club. Mm-hmm. And I had been swimming competitively for about 4 or 5 years because I was doing AAU age group. And so I swam with the boys, and I had a bunch of really interesting places to change when I went to away meets. Places like the office or the pool equipment room or places like that, because I was the only one, right? And visiting teams had to use the girls' locker room, so I didn't have anywhere else to change to get ready for the meet.
Did you feel like you were part of the team at the time?
Yeah, because I was swimming age group and was mixed all the time. We never had like just a girls AAU team. It was girls and boys the whole time. So I never really thought, it was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm on the boys team, so this is what's going to have to happen for me to swim. So it never really, I didn't feel weird about it.
How did you realize that you were actually pretty decent at this?
Well, the first thing that really happened was my senior year in high school. We had an assistant coach, and I think he was like a student teacher or something. I don't really know, but he incorporated a weight program because we hadn't been lifting or doing anything like that at all. Mm-hmm. And so that year I started lifting, and in just the season, so just the girls' season, in high school, it's from September to December or something like that. And it probably wasn't even that long. I actually dropped a whole minute off my 500 time, like just in that year. That was one thing. And then I was doing a lot of butterfly, and there were no distance events other than the 500, but that was where I started to do really well. And then I went to community college, ended up getting a scholarship for swimming to this community college. So I swam for them, and then I also swam for Royal Oak Penguins, but I didn't compete for them. I just went to their morning workout. So I was swimming in the mornings there, and then going to work out after, at 3 o'clock or whatever regular workout time was. And the first year we had quite a team, and the second year I was the only one. So I was swimming by myself as the only person on the team for Oakland Community College. But I ended up making All-American in the 1650 that year. So that was a huge thing for me, because I didn't really, it's just part of my life. I didn't think this is my athletic part. It was just that's what I did. I swam. And that's also when I started running after that. I started running in the off season. I had applied for a bunch of different schools and I got a swim scholarship at Northern. We had like a junior college state championship and I actually won the 500 that year.
Wow.
I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I think that's partly why Joan Pito was looking at me, because she needed a 400 IM swimmer and I'm not a breaststroker. So that was never going to be a good fit for me, but they needed distance freestyle swimmers too. And so that's how, and 200 butterfly. So that's how I ended up there. I had a full ride scholarship to Wayne, but it was academic. And I didn't really want to stay in the city. They didn't have a swim team. So I didn't stay to swim there. They did the years before because we swam them and they have a beautiful pool. But that the year I was going to go, they got rid of the women's team. So I had a choice of going to Wayne State, get a full ride, or I had a partial scholarship, but I would get to swim. And I thought I wouldn't really do it much after college. So I decided to go to Northern, got up there and started swimming. And it was a whole different group of people and all women. Was really nice again, and a big team, not just, me. And the first time I remember doing something and it was just like, oh, wow, this is what it's like to be on a team, was one of the captains was saying that they were going to go cliff diving. And I had never done that. I had a summer where I had a 3-meter diving board. So I was doing a lot of that, like learning how to dive off of a height. And so I was able to go out there and dive into the lake and do all this really cool stuff that just felt like I had found the people that I wanted to be with. It just was like, oh, you guys like to do what I like to do. And it was like that in all of the university, because that was when I started rock climbing, and this was outside. There's no such thing as a climbing gym. It was really great because I was strong from swimming and I could do all these things that was so different. It was just radically different from everything that I had been trying and doing. So it was kind of like an awakening, like opening up and seeing how much there was to actually do, and the hiking that we did. And even the weather up there is so different. So it was just really I felt like a new beginning. The way the swim season works, and I think they still do it this way, is around Christmas time, everybody goes and swims long course. Like I know Michigan State did it, Northern did it, just started doing it my junior year. Like she figured it out that we would drive to Florida and go swim for a couple of weeks down there. It was right after Christmas through New Year. So you're swimming long course for a couple of weeks and it really makes you stronger because it's a longer distance before you turn.
Okay, I was going to ask you what long course was.
Yeah, it's a 50-meter pool rather than a 25. And so it was 2-a-days, 50-meter pool. And the rest of the time was up to us. There was weights. And then during the day, we really didn't have, anything structured. I did it my sophomore year at OCC too. We went down, my coach had a condo in Key Largo or somewhere, but we ended up in Fort Lauderdale and we swam long course that time too. And I think that really helped. Like all those little pieces added up for me to help me get stronger. When I got to Northern, the only thing I think my coach did that was kind of not that great was that she found out that Olympic swimmers had 16% body fat. So that's what we all had to have that too. So we had skin fold caliper tests every 3 weeks. I know it really screwed me up. It screwed up everybody, I think. And so we had to lose weight.
After you kind of had that like 16% body fat like goal put on you, like leaving college, how did that affect you after that?
It did. I really was always strived to be as thin as I could be, and was, I think, all during college. I had read something somewhere where someone said that they were spending time counting up all the calories. I did that when I was I should have been paying attention to a lecture, but I was counting calories instead. And the whole time I was growing up, my mother was overweight. She was losing weight the whole time, like always on a diet. So it's always been something that is like when I was in 7th grade, I was on Weight Watchers because I was like 30 pounds overweight. And so I was on Weight Watchers with my mom and we would go every week. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, so this is all, I was already set up for it. I was already set up to drink the Kool-Aid because that's what I had learned my whole life, since I was an adolescent. That really I didn't have any tools to fight that. it just, fit right into what I was already being taught. I know she didn't think it through. My coach did not think that through, but that eating disorders and all that kind of stuff was not a thing. We just didn't talk about it. The other piece I know for me, and we've talked about this before, is that I thought more is better. So on the days that we had like 2-a-days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on the weeks we didn't have a meet on the weekend, and the weeks we did, we would swim in the morning, but we wouldn't swim in the evening. And the weeks we didn't have a meet, we would swim Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So on all that time, my senior year, I was swimming every morning because there was a AAU swim team that was in Marquette. And so I would get in the pool with them every other morning. So I was swimming 2-a-days every day, and then running on the weekends. I just look back at that now and I think, no wonder I couldn't overcome that. That was just too much to try to, or PR or do anything like that, because it was all left in the pool all week. That's overtraining is a thing. It really is.
And I think overtraining is really hard, particularly with, women in sports. And if that was your culture of like having to have, skin fold tests and wanting to be successful in all areas of sports, it's really hard for us to like differentiate. Well, I just want to be fast. Well, no, I want to be, I want to meet this goal here of like, having 16% body fat and also being, really fast. So, and if it's your coach, the leader of your team, it's really hard not to prioritize that and to think that way. I mean, that's the only person that you would look to like improve.
The crazy thing about like all of it is that, I just didn't have anything to compare to. There was no internet. There was no, way to say anything about anything. Like the summer before my senior year, I started running, and I was running after the season was over. I remember running with some guy that was up in Marquette. He was like 60 years old, and he would run or walk as many as his years. Like if he would walk 63 miles for his birthday or whatever. But anyway, so this is all normal people. Do you see what I mean? Like everybody I ran into was extreme. It wasn't like somebody said, oh, well, that's kind of weird, or do you really think you need to do that? So he said, yeah, if you can run 360-mile weeks in a row, then you can run a marathon. So I thought, well, I'll do Marquette Marathon. And I ran like I don't know, 3:43 or something like that. And I didn't even know that was good.
So after you graduate from college, and then do you, I don't really know. Do you stay up there for a while?
No, we came back, and that was when I was working at Greenfield Village.
Okay.
So that's when I got that job, because I finished my history major. And so I got picked up there, and then I was just running. But running to stay in shape. And I did some races, but not a lot. And then Jenny and Katie.
Yeah.
History.
And then you had 3 children.
In 19 months.
Yeah. So not a lot of running.
Well, actually, no, not when I had them. I couldn't do that. I would get cramps. Like even anybody, you or Kimmy or anybody, I couldn't run. So I would walk. But even after you guys were born, like I would get up and run before Daddy left for work. And I might not get very many miles in, but I would, or after he got home, things like that. Not right away either, because he was working, 50 hours a week or whatever, and then also going to school. And so that was all pretty crazy. And we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, I couldn't really get a babysitter. So we just go, do what I could do. Or when everybody was down, I would ride a bike or, we had a ski machine for a while until I wore it out. And
what kept you going?
Like that was a part of me, like a part of who I am, to want to be active just on any level, whatever that was. And I hadn't thought about a lot of that stuff for a while, like when you were talking about swimming, and it was such a big part of my life. And then it went from like every day, all day long to nothing, because I wasn't swimming anymore. And I think that's why I started running. And I know there were times when that was the only time I felt like who I like myself. Like the only time I felt like I was myself when I was actually running. Like that was the only time I felt it was just like pure me. It wasn't like someone's daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's this or that. It was like, and maybe it was because I was in control or in charge because I was running, but there were times when it really reminded me of who I was, and I didn't have to be less happy. I think it helped me stay happy because I remembered who I was. It's not that I didn't want to be. I loved all of it. It was like that was kind of an important life goal for me to have, this permanent relationship, and then having children and doing a good job with that. And I had some really strong opinions about all of that, but still it was kind of like uncharted territory, and the things that kept me feeling sane and normal were not things I was doing anymore. So I had to figure it out a different way. And that's why I was running and taking guys for walks and doing all that stuff. I think that's really why I think I did it. The other thing too is that I wanted you guys all to feel like that was what you needed to do to be healthy, and I still think that. I think your body needs to move, a person's body needs to move, and not necessarily the power, I guess, so much as just strength and fitness. I see people, the gym I go to now is, and I didn't know it, but it's kind of geared more toward older people. And it's not really on purpose. I think that's just the clientele. So then that's what they have. So they have mobility classes, and they have a lot of really hard, high intensity stuff too. But one of their things is, this is the message. I want you to be able to do this when you're 90. And so that's the point, it's just to be active so that I can move when I'm 90. When I was growing up, my grandparents and stuff like that were in their 60s, and they looked ancient. Like, I look back at that now. My grandmother died when she was 71 years old. That's like, what, 8 years from now for me? I can't even imagine it. But she did not move a lot, and she smoked. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think what I do now hasn't really drastically changed from even 10 years ago. I think I probably am more fit now in terms of mobility and agility than I was then. Just in kind of context of all the things that we've talked about, I think I might have some more to get to explore in terms of maybe like a triathlon or something like that, so I'm really not focusing on anything specifically, but I do think about that would be fun to do. I really think it would be fun.
Now, having had like more of an opportunity to like learn about training and like kind of seeing your past mistakes, it would be really interesting to see how you would do. That would be exciting to see. And as somebody who's tried to swim next to you, I can say that you're a very good swimmer. I'm good at not dying. For me, a big part of you being active kind of put importance on of being outside and of like being active, when I didn't have that example, or might not have had that example from anybody else.
So I think the more we feel that way, the more we think that it's part of the holistic experience, rather than saying, this is my athletic part, this is my intellectual part, and this is my work life. I think all of it, if it's kind of all one thing, it's a lot less like they carry over.
And more recently, you had kind of gotten into yoga, pretty hardcore, and then like worked into like being able to do the splits, which was like very impressive. Was that a goal for you, or like how did that happen?
No, I when we moved to Houston, I started going to the yoga studio probably every day, and it was just a really welcoming and safe place to be. And yoga was not something I had ever done, but I'd always wanted to learn about it. So I started doing it, and it was with really good teachers. I mean, I have such really good habits, and it's because of the teachers that I had. And I didn't even know it until now. I'm doing yoga with other teachers, and I'm realizing that we had a great education with this group of people. So yeah, I did that here. And then when I moved to Flint for that year, I was running and going to the gym there. I didn't do yoga there. And then I came back here, and now it's more holistic again because I have a chance to do weights, and I can run and do yoga. In fact, yesterday I had a yoga class that started out as a pop-up, but this guy's really a good teacher. And so they're putting this on the schedule. So every Friday at 2, I can go do this. And I ran after, which is not something I normally do. I normally, run first. And it was great. I felt so energized. I was shocked at how well that went because I, did yoga for an hour and then I went and ran, and it was like faster and more into the run on, even though it was on a treadmill. And it was a really good experience. So, and I was shocked because I just thought it was going to be, drudgery, but it wasn't. So I want to keep doing yoga. I want to try to get into a routine where I do it every day at some point. And even if it's for 15 minutes, it just is nice to, and I've been doing meditation. And so it's not just the focusing on breathing, but the notion of filling the pose with breath and things like that. It really kind of it gives me the notion that I'm like a child again.
Before the pandemic hit, you had started to climb with a friend of yours.
Yep. Yeah, and we have a climbing wall at the place where I work. So once I feel a little bit more comfortable, I'm going to go back to that because that was a really good group of people. They're students, yes, but they're just a really open, nice group of people. And it's kind of a good, it's kind of like a hard left turn from being in a meeting all day with people who are just egos brushing up against each other and trying to be on top, to go to a place where you can only do what you can do. You can't be any better than you are. And for me, there's no competition because everybody's 40 years younger than me. So it doesn't matter what I do. And so it's really fun. I'm anonymous. I just go in there, some, weird old middle-aged white woman over there on the wall, and nobody cares. And so it's just really fun for me to be able to do that. And I miss it. I got all that equipment and then the pandemic hit, so I never really got a chance to use it. And so that is on the horizon as well. And I'm kind of looking forward to doing that again.
I was going to ask you the last question that we usually ask for Women in Power Active is just words of empowerment that you would give other women, or, your sister, or, a friend.
One of the things that, I think about what I would say to someone is that it really doesn't matter what you do. It's just that you do. So if you like something, if you like to walk, if you like Pilates, if you like water walking, if you like whatever it is, just find something that you like and do it. And don't be unapologetic about spending time on yourself in that way, because it makes everything easier. Even the hardest times are made easier if you can get a little movement in somewhere. Don't compare it to anything. Just go do it.
As like somebody who's tried so many different things, what would you say like to somebody who like might be a little bit apprehensive?
Do something that gives you more confidence. Like if you don't want people to see you when you're walking, then walk a little bit earlier in the morning. Don't go to the gym. Don't go stand on a treadmill. I mean, that might be something that happens later, but maybe the first thing you do is try walking around the block at a time when it's quiet, so that you don't feel like you have to be as self-conscious. And those are hard things, but it's worth it. It's like something that somebody has to find the meaning or value in, and that has to be of more worth than the reticence or the fear of being seen while doing whatever it is. I felt that way when I went to the gym to try classes, because these are classes and all these people have gone before and they know what's going on and I don't know what's going on. And so maybe to break a chunk off of it and say, well, I'll do this for 5 minutes. I'll try it for 10 minutes. And maybe that's all it is, 10 minutes a day. And I think once 10 minutes goes by for a while, it begins to be easier. And then that's the goal. It's like to be able to get out and do it, and not necessarily how it looks to other people.
I always remember when I was running, you would tell me that you can do anything for 5 minutes.
It's really true though. I mean, that's, the only thing you can't do is hold your breath. I mean, maybe then you can, but that's what I really think. You can try it. You don't have to like it, and you can try something else to find out what it is you do like. And maybe it's going to be Tai Chi. Maybe it's going to be something that's just totally different. The other thing too is that when you go to something that's like a class, everybody wants you to succeed. The teacher wants you to succeed. The people around you want you to succeed. I think that whole notion of like having to compete, maybe like how we did in high school, or because that's kind of many people's last experience with sports was then, when a bunch of immature personalities are all trying to vie for whatever they were trying to get. It's not like that anymore. Everybody wants everyone to succeed. It's a total different attitude. And if it isn't, if that's a gym where people are looking you up and down, don't go to that gym, go to a different one. When I was doing yoga, when I was starting to learn how to do yoga, a lot of the message was pay attention to what's happening on your mat. And it wasn't that you don't look at the other people. It was just that that might be interesting, and it might be something that you can't help but compare yourself to. But really, what the important thing that's happening is what's on your mat. That's the important thing. Those might be distractions. That might be something you want to talk to in your head about. Oh, they can do this better than me. But that's really not important. The important thing is what's happening just on your mat. And it was almost like I could just close back in and let my attention just be.
Is there anything that you wanted to like plug?
Social media stuff is all mostly either family or library science, so it's probably not going to be that important to anyone. So Elizabeth G13 on Insta, and egross on Twitter. So, and there are going to be a lot of things on Twitter about promoting books and freedom to read and all that kind of stuff right now, because that's a big deal, especially for school librarians. Support them.
You can follow me personally. That's at Jacalyn Gross, JACALYNGROSS, on all social platforms. You can follow You Are Sportswear. That's the letter U, the letter R, Sportswear, on all social platforms. And if you want to check out any of our products, go to youaresportswear.com. Thank you for listening, and happy Mother's Day.